Hello and welcome back to Married After Midnight. We're your hosts,
Tasha and Jake.
Tasha and Jake.
There you go. I knew you could do it. Right, so Borrasca Part 3.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I think where we left off, it was a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, so...
Things just started getting interesting.
So we left off, what happened in the last episode, they went to see Prescott's dad in the old people's home in the other town.
Yes, yeah, and he had dementia and but there was definitely something about a powder.
Well, there was nothing about dementia, I don't think. I think they just said he's going crazy.
Yeah, but he probably has dementia.
Do you remember what happened at the end? What, the cliffhanger? You remember the cliffhanger?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kimber's mum died.
Yeah, yes.
What else do we know? Sam's dad, Sheriff, we found that out. There was the weird interaction at the sandwich shop between, I think her name was Maureen and Owen.
About a child.
Something to do with a child and something to do with like an operation or something. I think that was it, really.
But it left just as things were getting good.
Yeah, so now I want to say the next 2 episodes are full throttle. They're very much like deep. But another thing I wanted to say is I did some research on, and I mentioned this briefly to you in the week, I did some research on the story and C.K. Walker. So, of course, it originally started as a Reddit story, and I found out that there's a podcast, well, not a podcast, I think it's like an audio book, like more of an audio book, where they use voice actors to do they use voice actors to read the story, and the person who plays C.K. Walker is Cole Sprouse from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
See, yeah. I never watched that.
Is he the one in Riverdale as well? One of them's they're twins,
I never
aren't they?
watched Riverdale either.
Yeah, because there's 2 of them, and one of them's an actor, and I don't think one's an actor anymore. The one who's an actor did the
I know
podcast.
Cole Sprouse has been on Brittany Broski's podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only thing I know him from.
I think he's married to like one of the biggest models in the world as well.
No way.
Yeah. What's
He's made it good then.
I'm actually fact checking this.
I never had Disney Channel. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's her. I might be wrong. I swear she was called like Barbara or something. Oh yeah, Barbara. I know my models.
No comment. They're a cute couple, aren't they?
He is a good looking guy. Yes, there she is. So one of the biggest models in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, also, I didn't mention this to you, and I was actually looking forward to mention this to you. I was looking at other C.K. Walker stories, because I've only ever read Borrasca, and I think I've read one of them more, but she actually has a reputation as an author for this amazing, in all of her stories that I found people comment on, that she has amazing writing, amazing like character-to-character dialogue, and really good world building. She has a notorious reputation for a lackluster ending in all of her stories.
So is the ending just going to be, and then they woke up?
The ending is really good, in my opinion, if you stop at 4.
Oh, really?
But I think you would like 5. I think you would like 5, because I know you need everything tied up.
Really, I don't like any loose ends. It surprises me that it's a woman and not a guy. For some reason, is it CJ Walker?
C.K. Walker.
C.K. Walker. It just strikes me as like a guy's name.
I never realised she was a female until recently, and I was going to gloss over that.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I think it's again, you assume internet with men.
Not only that, you assume like Reddit men.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what everyone thought.
It's just an unconscious bias.
Yeah,
you don't even realise you're doing it.
Right. So I know. Last episode I was reading. Do you want to keep the Borrasca theme and you read and I do?
Well, you did have a slight criticism for the way I say one of the
yeah, we bring this up so when I was at it in the last Borrasca video, Tasha says Carl instead of Kyle, and you still haven't gone back to listen to it to prove it. You say
I don't listen to these.
You say Carl, and I'll point out when you do it.
Let's see
if you do it.
For me, Carl and Kyle are so similar. So I probably could be saying Carl, and then slip into Carl, but I mean Kyle.
Kyle, okay, Kyle.
Right, should we get going?
Yeah.
Borrasca 3.
Again, I'm not sure I remember the voice. It's been 2, 3, 4 weeks since we last did Borrasca. It's been a while, so I'll try. Do you blame her? Do you think she blames herself? I don't know, man. Probably.
I stretched out on the reclined seat of my Chevy and pulled the bill of my hat lower over my eyes.
But do you think she's okay?
I didn't answer him. I certainly hadn't been okay with Whitney died, and Kimber was even closer to her mum than I was to my sister. She was definitely not okay.
Sam, seriously, I'm fucking freaking out here. It's been 2 days.
I pushed my hat up off my face and looked over at Kyle, who was admittedly a wreck. His eyes were bloodshot, his face sallow, and his red hair was greasy.
You put a load of effort in to say Kyle then. You paused.
I had to make the emphasis.
Dude, her mom committed suicide. You know how close Kimber was to her mom. She just needs time, but she'll be okay. She hasn't answered my texts or calls. I've left like 9 voicemail, man. I'm going crazy. You just have to give her space. Yeah, but she's my...
He still couldn't say it around me.
I'm supposed to be looking after her.
I sat up and pulled the chair up right behind me.
Look, Kyle, I know you want to help Kimber, and I want to help Kimber too, but she hasn't answered calls, been to school, or come to the door when we've stopped by her house. She doesn't want to see us right now, and we have to be okay with that. Right now, Kimber knows what's best for Kimber. What? What about a suicide note? You think that has something to do with it?
I sighed.
We don't even know if there was a note. Kimber's dad was upset and messed up, and he said it was possible I misheard him anyway. I asked my dad, and he said there was no letter, right? Because your dad is such a beacon of truth?
One look at Kyle told me he immediately regretted his words. I shrugged.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
The truth was that I knew what I heard. Mr. DeStaro had said something to the cops about a letter, but I couldn't tell Kyle that. Not right now. He was already worried that his relationship with Kimber was part of the reason her mum had been so depressed. I'd asked my dad about the letter when he'd come home after a long night, and he sighed, ran both of his hands through his hair in a tired look way, and said,
Sam, I don't know what to tell you. Annie DeStaro didn't leave a suicide note, and this is the first time I've heard of it.
With our best friend in mourning and our investigation on hold, Kyle and I had been existing in a sort of suspended state. We went to school intermittently, skipping classes here and there, missing end-of-year tests, and smoking more weed than either of us could afford. Without Kimber there to set us straight and keep us in line, we were lethargic, brooding, and irresponsible. I never realised how much I relied on her. Kyle and I skipped the last 2 periods of the day and debated on whether we should even go into school tomorrow, which was the last day of our sophomore year. We finally decided to show up for second period, which I was glad we did, because Kimber showed up in biology. I didn't even see her at first. I had my head down on my desk, resting on folded arms, when I felt a meek hand pat on my shoulder. I turned around to see her standing there, looking unsure and uncomfortable. I gave her half a smile and pulled her into a hug, but it wasn't a super comforting, not all awkward Kimber hug. It was longer, a weaker hug, and I felt so protective in it. I was sad when it was over.
How are you doing, Kay?
I asked her when she finally released me. Kimber wiped a tear off her cheek.
I'm okay.
And she gave me a wobbly smile, and I knew it wasn't true. I wrapped her into another quick hug as Phoebe Dranger gave us a snotty look.
Have you seen Kyle yet? No, I have next period with him. He's been worried about you. I know,
she said, sliding her eyes to the floor.
Things have been really hard at home. It's okay,
I said.
We're here for whatever you need. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Whatever you need.
Since it was the last day of school, our teacher, Mr. Founder, was just happy to return our graded tests and let us bullshit the rest of the period. Kimber talked about the arrangements for the funeral that weekend, and chided Kyle and I for skipping finals to get stoned. When the bell rang, I could see that Kimber was both excited and nervous to see Kyle. As we packed up our bags, I assured her that Kyle wasn't mad. He was just worried about her. She threw her bag over her shoulder, set her jaw, and nodded. She was trying so hard to keep it together. As soon as Kyle saw her from down the hall, he slammed his locker shut, walked towards us with such intensity that I began to wonder if maybe he was mad. He pushed past a dozen people without so much as glancing at them and left a curious, if annoyed, crowd in his wake. When he finally reached us, Kyle threw his backpack against the wall and swooped up Kimber in a sort of way you see in old black and white movies. Everyone who watched all of this unfold, including me, groaned in unison. Since most of the teachers weren't even bothering to take attendance that day, I went to calculus with Kimber and Kyle, where they had the same conversation Kimber and I had last period. Towards the end of the hour, the conversation faltered and became uneasy. Kyle and I exchanged a look over the top of Kimber's head, and I nodded at him.
Kimber,
he said quietly.
Did your mom leave a letter? What?
Kimber asked in surprise.
I heard your dad talking about a letter on that day, on Tuesday.
I said.
Oh.
As we waited for her to continue, the bell rang for lunch. Saved by the bell. Everyone filed out of the room, but the three of us stayed still, sitting on our desks.
Kimber?
I finally said. She sighed sadly and looked over at Kyle.
Yes? What did it say?
He asked nervously.
I don't know, I haven't seen it. I asked my dad for it when he got home, but he said I misheard him. There was no letter. He said not to mention it to anyone else, or I'd just upset people. Well, then we both misheard him.
I said.
Which seems unlikely. I've known my dad all my life, and I know when he's lying.
People started to filter in for the next period, sliding sympathetic glances at Kimber. Since it was our lunch period, we gathered up our things and walked out to my car, as we always did. I sat in the back seat, letting Carl and Kimber take the front. Kimber took a deep breath and continued.
I know my dad is lying. I know he has the letter. Are you sure?
Carl asked. I could tell he was still terrified that some of the blame rested on him.
Yeah, and I know it contains the name Prescott. I think I even know where it is. Prescott?
Yet somehow, I wasn't that surprised. He was the axis around which everything that bad orbited.
How do you know it says Prescott?
Carl asked.
I heard my dad reading it once. I think he read it a lot. Actually, he was sort of sobbing and whispering the words and throwing things in his office. My dad, he hasn't been well. Do you think she was having an affair with Jimmy Prescott?
I shook my head.
I'm guessing you need to think bigger than that, Kyle. I agree.
Kimber said to her hands in her lap.
With everything we know about the Prescotts, I'm fairly sure this isn't even an affair. It's connected somehow, don't you think? My dad was the love of my mom's life, but she only left a letter for me. I think that somehow I'm the one that she wronged, not him, you know? I think she did something to me. Maybe she did it because of me.
Kimber's voice broke over the last sentence, and Kyle pulled her over, kissed the top of her head, and whispered words to her that I couldn't hear.
So, we need to get the letter?
I said after giving them a minute.
Yeah, I really need to read it.
Kimber's voice was still wobbly.
Well, how do we get it?
I asked.
It's in the office. We just need to wait until our dad isn't home.
Kyle said as I looked out the window.
You don't think I thought of that?
Kimber sighed.
He never leaves his office. Not since we got home from this hospital. He sleeps in there. So we need to get him out. No, we need to get me in. Tomorrow it's my mom's funeral, and half of Driskin will be there, including my dad. Of course. I need to leave without him noticing, and run home so I can go through the office. Okay, that's easy.
I said.
Without my dad noticing? I need to be back by the end of the service.
We both nodded but stayed silent, because it looked like Kimber was weighing, saying more.
My dad, he's been very cold, and I think he blames me.
Kimber finally said.
That's bullshit.
Kyle spat.
Can you guys help me? Absolutely. Of course.
We spent the rest of the lunch hour creating a plan far more strategic than the mission probably needed. Kyle and I would engage Mr. Darrow in a conversation, and then Kyle would get a text from Kimber telling him she was having a breakdown in the bathroom. Kyle would leave to go comfort her, and they would take my car to the Destaro house. I would stay behind and keep an eye on Kimber's dad while they were gone.
So just to quickly add, Kyle was a bit of a prick, that whole interaction.
Really? How so?
Well, like she came back, she was in class, and he just came up and was like, did your mum leave a letter?
But he did comfort
her. He comforted her in the car, that was it.
Yeah, but then you got to think, they're still babies, they're little teenagers,
yeah,
really.
17 is probably an age where you should start realising.
Oh, are they 17?
Yeah,
I thought they were like 15, 16.
No, I think they're 17. It was their last day of school. I think they were 17, 16, 17.
Yeah, he probably should have done more, but I feel like he's an awkward guy.
Yeah, I think
he's just
a douche.
Hormonal. I don't think he knows how to handle it. I mean, we've never handled grief. How do you handle that as a 17-year-old?
I guess. Yeah, but yeah, fair enough.
I went to work that afternoon for the first time since Monday. Mira seemed to be in a much better mood and let me go home early since it was Friday. I didn't sleep well though, and got up at 4 a.m. to go through my clothes, looking for something dressy and black to wear to the funeral. My dad came in before he left for work and found his dishevelled, panicked teenage son looking hopelessly through the piles of black clothing. He smiled pityingly and let me lead me to his own closet. Since my dad and I not only had the same face, but the same kind of build, as finding something suitable was easy. I thanked him, and he asked me to apologise to Kimber for having to work through the service, and that he sends his love. Anne DeStaro's funeral was at the Episcopalian church on the other side of town. I picked Carl up at 9, and saw he was also wearing a suit of his dad's, though he didn't fit nearly as well as mine. He was constantly pulling at the sleeves and readjusting the waistline. Unfortunately for Kyle, he was much smaller than his dad. We parked as far away from the church as possible, where we were hoped no one would notice a car leaving. When we were inside the church, we saw that Kimber wouldn't have much acting to do to convince people she was having a breakdown. We found her at the back of the room, tucked into a chair, and a puddle of curly orange hair and tears. Carl sat down next to her and pulled her into a hug. Oh my god. I think you're right.
Jesus, Kimber, what's wrong? What a fucking retard.
What an idiot.
What a fucking idiot.
What an idiot. What's wrong? Your mum's dead. You're at the funeral. Why are you crying?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Hey, kid, what's good? You so beat up?
Yeah, I think you're right. His reaction is...
Hey, Kimber, be happy there's a buffet later.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think your reaction was justified then, because that is awful. He couldn't have handled that worse.
Hey, it's like, Sam, why's Kimber being a little bitch?
Honestly, her mum's just died. Her boyfriend's being a...
I don't remember that, but I don't remember Kyle being a twat in the church.
He couldn't have handled things worse. I mean... Oh my god. There's being a teenager and then there's being that.
And this is a boyfriend as well. Kimber, you're embarrassing me in front of all these people.
I kicked his foot and he shot me a look that said, "Really?" Carl bit his lip.
I mean, fuck.
That's no better. He's just digging his grave here.
There's no one here.
Kimber whispered against his chest.
My mom grew up here. She had hundreds of friends in this town, and no one came.
We looked around, and I had to admit, the turnout was sparse. A few groups of 3 or 4 people standing together. Kimber's dad, who sat in the chair opposite the room with his daughter with his head in his hands, and some family I recognised from barbecues at Kimber's house. Ex-Sheriff Clary with his wife Grace was here, standing with a few of the dad's deputies and talking quietly in the corner. I could see why Kimber was upset. As we waited for the service to start, I realised I'd never been to a funeral before. I wished that we'd only had one for my sister, but I knew we could never, since Whitney was still legally alive. It made me sad to think that she would never be laid to rest. Only a few other funeral goers trickled in, and the pastor began getting people seated for the service. I noticed the casket at the pulpit for the first time, and was glad it was closed. Still, I had to wonder at the simple, unadorned, almost ugly coffin that had been chosen for Kimber's mum. I knew the DeSaros had money. Quite a lot of it, actually. It was an interesting, almost insulting choice.
I feel like with not many people going and them saying it's a poor... And again, I've read the story, but I feel like if I was to interpret it now, the shitty casket, no one coming to the funeral, almost like she went against the grain.
She's been shunned.
And that, shunned, but obviously she's killed herself as a part of that, so they're punishing her.
Now they're shunning her in death, which is even more of an insult, and poor Kimber's having to take it. So this this town is so cliquey.
Yeah.
And clearly they're all in on
whatever's going on.
On the conspiracy. Because they have shunned her. I mean, even a poor casket, what did she do? Because clearly it's something big if they can't even forgive her in death.
Yeah.
Because normally when you go to a funeral, it's like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they were a great person.
And it's almost like the dad is mad at the mum.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem upset about it. He seems more mad, and that's why he's hid the letter. It's probably the letter for Kimber.
His life.
The letter she's left for Kimber maybe exposed his work on whatever's gone on.
I think what's happened is Kimber's mum has put Kimber first before the dad. She's obviously killed herself, and now Kimber's dad has to pick up the pieces because Kimber's mum made a decision to put Kimber first, which leaves the dad basically up to his creek.
You kind of was under a slight impression that it was drugs with the mention of the powder and all that stuff. Do you think the mum would kill herself over drugs?
I think she would kill herself to make sure Kimber was okay.
Yeah, but how would a drug trade involve Kimber?
Because it's not as if it's just a drug trade. If you remember, they were talking about, like, we had a conspiracy, me and you had a conspiracy where it's like, is it one in, one out?
Yeah,
Is it where Kimber reaches the right age where she gets in on the conspiracy, and if she doesn't approve it,
but
is it in or out?
That wouldn't explain Whitney going at like 13, 14. Why would they banish...
Maybe she stumbled.
Maybe she did run away.
Maybe she did. No way. Maybe she stumbled in on the scene with the boyfriend. The boyfriend accepted it.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's a good shout.
And she couldn't. And she had to go.
That's a good shout. Right, let's carry on.
Okay.
I don't want to get too away with just theory.
Okay, yeah. Kyle and I stood up and stood Kimber up and started over to the pews, but she stopped abruptly.
I'm ready,
she said, and brushed the hair away from her wet face.
Ready to leave. I can't be in here anymore. It's a disgrace to my mother.
Kimber raised her head a notch and set her jaw. I knew this look, and it meant there'll be no reasoning with her. Kyle and I looked at each other. This wasn't the plan. It'd be a lot more obvious if Kimber was missing from the service, especially with the low turnout.
You guys go over and say what we rehearsed to my dad. Kyle, I'll text you in about 30 seconds. Go.
Kyle nodded and started over, and I knew we weren't arguing. Mr. DeStaro was finally standing, looking over at the front pews reserved for him and his daughter with hesitation.
Mr. DeSario?
I said as we approached.
I'm very sorry to hear about your wife. She was...
Shit, I forgot my lines.
A great woman who raised a wonderful daughter?
Kyle finished.
Yeah.
He spat.
Do great women commit suicide, leaving their wonderful daughters alone in the world?
Shit.
Do great women jump off buildings and make spectacles of themselves and leave their families to deal with the publicity and the grief?
Kyle's phone chirped. Thank God.
That's Kimber.
Kyle said a little too fast.
Yeah, for some reason she was really bummed out earlier. I don't really know why.
Yeah, she got all sad.
Yeah,
she started crying.
Man, she was bitching everywhere. She was ruining my ruining my event. Sorry, you might want to start again.
That was not in the book.
No.
Kyle said a little too fast before he'd actually had the time to look at his phone.
Man, she isn't well. Says she's crying and feeling sick. I'm gonna go help her. No.
Mr. DeStaro yelled so suddenly that Kyle dropped his phone on the ground, where it made a loud clatter on the stone floors.
Not you. You don't help my daughter. You don't even talk to her. He can go.
And he pointed at me.
Okay.
I stuttered. The plan had changed too much. I needed to somehow get the car keys from Kyle without him being seen. Kyle gave me a shaky, subtle nod, and then he and Mr. DeSaro went to sit down. It was obvious Kimber's dad was keeping an eye on Kyle. Getting the car keys from him was going to be nearly impossible. I backed into the shadows at the back of the room while the pastor started the service. I texted Kyle 4 times asking for help, but he wouldn't dare touch his phone. He just stared straight ahead, flicking worried glances at Mr. DeStaro every few seconds. That's a woman's.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was trying to think whether or not he meant the casket, but I think it is just a spelling mistake.
After several minutes, I went to find Kimber to see what she wanted to do, but she wasn't in our meeting spot by the back door. The plan was falling apart. I pulled out my phone and sent her a text. Me, where are you? Me, Carl is next to your dad, and I can't get the keys from him. I waited in the hallway, tapping my phone against my hand nervously. After a minute or two, my phone vibrated. Kimber, I'm sorry. I left without you guys. I had to get out of there. I'm so sorry. I'll be back before the end of service. I promise. Shit. Me. Be safe. It was now imperative that I had not be seen. I went to the men's bathroom, locked myself in the store, and played Snake for the longest 20 minutes of my life. I knew the service wouldn't go on much longer, so I texted Kimber again. Me. You on your way back yet? Did you find it? I sat waiting, watching the minutes tick by. I texted her again. Me. I think the service is ending soon. Where are you? After another 7 minutes of no response, I tried calling, but it went to voicemail. I tried again with the same result. I was getting nervous. I was about to try the 3rd time when 2 people walked in the bathroom and my phone vibrated with a text. It was Kyle. The service was over. Kyle, Kimber has the keys. Why aren't you guys back yet? Did you find anything? I left the bathroom without washing my hands and received dirty looks from the 2 strangers at the urinals and the doors closed behind me. I found Kyle staring out the window looking for my car. Kyle?
You were so engrossed in reading the text.
Yeah, I was so engrossed.
Kyle?
He jumped.
Where's Kimber? What did you guys find? I don't know. She left without me. What the fuck? Why? Where is she? I don't know, Kyle. She left without me.
I reiterated.
She's not answering my calls or my texts. Fuck, mine neither. We have to keep an eye on her dad until she gets back. We're not the only ones.
Kyle said, gesturing across the room.
What the fuck is going on?
3 men were talking to Kimber's dad in the corner across the room. Chief among them was Killian Clary, who was flanked by his 2 former deputies. Drisking's retired sheriff had his hand on Mr. DeSara's arm and was speaking to him in an angry, hushed tone. Kimber's dad was shaking his head and desperately objecting to something. The two deputies walked out the front of the church, and Mr. DeStaro sagged against Killian Clary, who sat him in a nearby chair. Something was happening.
Call Kimber now,
Kyle said. I tried again, and this time the phone rang twice and was sent to voicemail. I ended the call, threw up my hands, looking desperately at Kyle.
Again,
he said, and took out his own phone and got the same result, but felt a jolt of relief when someone answered Kyle's call, but it wasn't Kimber.
Phil, what part of town are you in? I need a ride. It's an emergency.
I waited.
Yeah, man, I'm at Northridge Church. As fast as you can. I'm with Sam. I'll owe you.
Kyle hung up and then immediately tried Kimber's phone.
She's sending me to voicemails too.
We both stood at the window, anxiously waiting to see Phil's silver Mazda pull up. Kyle chewed his lip and tapped my phone. Come on, Saunders. We threw an occasional look back at Kimber's dad until Clary stood up and ushered the now inconsolable man out of the church. Suddenly, Kyle's phone chirped, and we both looked down to see Kimber's name flash up on the screen. Kyle's knees nearly buckled in relief, and he sagged against the wall. Kimber, I found it. Kyle opened the text and furiously typed a reply. Kyle, they're coming for UK. We both stared at the phone, waiting for a response, and just as the sun blinded us, it reflected off Phil's approaching silver sedan. We got one. Kimber, they're here. It was the last message we got from Kimber when Phil dropped us at DeStaro's house. We found the front door unlocked, and no one home. My car was sitting in the driveway, unlocked with the keys in the ignition. Carl and I drove back to the church, but the funeral was over, and the few people that had attended it were already gone. We drove back to Kimber's house again, but it was just as we left it, and no one was home. Carl had lost it this time, and he was an absolute wreck. He'd called her so many times. I'm sure he'd kill his battery. His calls went straight to voicemail, and his texts were unanswered. After half an hour of begging from Carl, I finally called my dad. He answered immediately.
Sammy, what's wrong?
It's Kimber. She's gone, Dad. I've looked everywhere, but her and her dad are missing. She left the funeral early, and Killian Clary was there, talking to her dad. And then Samson and Griggs left, and I think they went to her house, and they got her, Dad. I think they're still working for Clary, on the side or something. I think they're doing something bad. She's...
Whoa. Slow down. Come by the station and let's talk. I'll take a statement from you boys. I'll send a couple of officers over to investigate the house. But right now, just calm down, Sam. We'll handle this.
I hung up and threw my car violently into reverse, jerking the wheels to the left as I hit the end of the driveway.
Sam, how do we know? How do we know we can trust the cops?
I'm not trusting the cops. I'm trusting my dad,
I said, my words sounding hopeless, even to me. I turned into the sheriff's office, and Kyle was out of the car as soon as I slowed down enough to park. By the time I got inside, my dad had Kyle by the shoulders and was nodding solemnly at everything Kyle was telling him. When my dad saw me, he mentioned for an officer to take us to his office. After a few minutes, he came in and sat down across the desk from us.
All right, boys. I'm going to have Officer Ramirez come in for a few minutes and take a statement from you both. I want you to know at this point in time, it looks like DeStario left town voluntary.
No way, Mr. Walker. Kimber would never.
My dad held up his hand for silence.
Let me rephrase. Jacob DeStario left town voluntary. Kimber is a minor and has no legal right here. If her dad said they're leaving, then they're leaving.
But she's not answering her phone. We went to that house, but she's not answering her phone, Dad. We went to her house, and nothing was packed.
Maybe they're just getting away for a while. Maybe they're going to her relatives. I can't theorize as to why she wouldn't answer her phone, other than maybe she wants to be left alone for a while.
Kyle was exasperated.
But...
Look, I know it's hard for you to understand, but losing a family member takes a toll on a person. Sam, you know that. We don't know how people are going to grieve, and we don't have the right to. I think it's very likely that Kimber will be back by the fall for school.
The fall? Sheriff Walker, that's 2 months away. You need to investigate now.
Kyle, I know you're upset. No one said we're not going to investigate thoroughly.
Like you investigated Whitney's disappearance thoroughly?
I spat and didn't regret the words.
Sam.
He snapped with more force than I'd ever heard him use.
I'm tired of listening to you insinuate that I didn't do everything I could to find Whitney. I love your sister more than you could imagine. She's my daughter, Sammy, and I will never give up.
And what about the deputies that left the funeral to go after her?
Carl interrupted. My dad raised an eyebrow at me.
Samson and Greg.
I ground out through clenched teeth. He sighed.
Boys, Samson and Greg left the funeral because I sent them out on a call.
I stood up violently, knocking over my chair in the process.
Come on, Dad.
This guy's just such a... I just picture him
Beta.
being such, like, a small guy.
I picture him being tall, scrawny, and just overall like a very much a teenager.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing special about him.
I don't know. I think he's nice.
I mean, no, but I just think he's, like...
awkward.
Yeah. Oh, it's me. All right, that's enough.
The sheriff slammed his hand on the desk and stood up.
I told you I would tell you what I know, and I have. I understand your friend is important to you, and God damn it, the Destaros are friends of mine too. I promise you that I'll use the full extent of my resources to track them down and put your minds at ease. But until then, all I can offer you is reassurance that there is no sign of foul play at this time. You boys need to get off the warpath and let us handle this. Now Ramirez is waiting in the hall to take your statements, and then both of you are going home. Understood?
I said nothing and glared at my dad, seething with rage. Kyle stood up and walked out of the room with no emotion whatsoever. He walked past Ramirez and I followed him out to the car. We got in and I waited for Kyle to say something. I heard a loud sniffle and looked over to see his face slick with tears. It was the first time I'd ever seen Kyle.
And maybe it means the real him?
It was the first time I'd ever seen Kyle cry, but not the last.
Oh, you think it is cry?
Yeah, they missed out a word.
It's weird. Can you... I'm not a Reddit expert. Can you edit Reddit posts? Because you think it's been around for 10 years.
I don't know. I just feel there are a few things that are a bit sloppy. Like when it was Mrs. DeStaro up above when referring to the dad.
A part of me thinks I wonder if it's intentional to make it more Reddit-y.
That's a thing?
I don't know. It's like when you get like phishing emails are spelled incorrectly on purpose. I don't know.
Are they on purpose?
Yeah, phishing emails are spelled.
Why are they done that on purpose?
So it doesn't look like a robot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. I always thought if they're spelled correctly.
But I don't know. I don't know why this isn't spelled correctly. Like, I don't know why it hasn't been edited.
We'll just give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was late at night.
It seems like this part 3 has been worse for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't know the circumstances of when they write. It could be late at night. The cat could have stepped on the keyboard. You just don't know.
No, we're probably about close to halfway through, if not a bit over. What are you feeling now?
They got Kimber. They're taking it to the place.
Taking it where?
Don't know. Woods, probably.
The woods.
They got Kimber. She found out something she shouldn't have found out. She's now in it, or she's out and dead.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
They took him to meet the shiny gentleman.
I don't know where they took her.
They haven't mentioned the shiny gentleman in a while.
Well, that's probably coming up, isn't it? You know.
I know, but it's just... I just noticed they haven't mentioned it.
I think what will happen is they will go back to the Triple Tree because it's the only thing they know, and then they'll hear the sound, they'll investigate the sound, and then they'll find Kimber.
What if the shiny gentleman is like a deity, and they need to give children to him?
I'm not sold.
Okay.
Maybe in another Reddit post, but this one seems very much like it's a human problem. What I'm saying, I'm quite good at guessing.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
He's lying.
He whispered. I just shook my head. I didn't know what to believe. Kyle turned his face away from me.
I know he's lying. Something bad has happened to her. He's lying about it. What? What happened?
I heard more sniffling as Kyle tried to collect himself.
Dude, fucking talk to me. What do you think happened? Kimber's gone, like all the others. So she's at the place where bad things happen.
I punched the steering wheel. How the fuck had this happened? Not Kimber. Please, not Kimber. Was all this because of me? Had her mother killed herself because of something I'd done? Something we'd found out? Was Kimber taken because of me? If I thought for one more minute that was true, I would crack into tiny pieces.
No, not Kimber, no. Yes, Sam. Fucking think about it.
Carl yelled at me.
It's the treehouse. It's all the same. Borrasca, the skinned men, the triple tree, your sister, the mountain. It's all the fucking same. It's the Prescott Empire, and now Kimber has been fucking consumed by it. Well, where do we go now?
I could feel the warm tears of my own desperation and hopelessness sliding down my cheeks.
What do we do now? What do we fucking do?
Kyle threw his hands up in frustration.
We go to Ambercott, right? It's where it all starts and ends at the Triple Tree, Sam. Surely you figured that out. We've been to the treehouse millions of times, Kyle. There's nothing there. I don't know where the fuck else to go, Sam.
Rap, rap, rap. I jumped as someone tapped on the window. Yeah, it wasn't mine, just poor.
I just thought you were doing ad-libs.
Beatboxing. I jumped as someone tapped on the window of the car and wiped the tears off my face. I rolled down the window as Officer Grigg leaned down and looked in the car.
You boys move home. You boys move along home, all right?
Yep.
I said, and turned the key ignition. Officer Grigg waved at us as we pulled out the parking lot, but we didn't wave back.
The treehouse.
Kyle said. We drove in silence, both of us trying desperately to get a hold of ourselves. If we were going to be of any help to Kimber, we needed to be calm enough to think logically. I parked in the space next to the trailhead and saw several bikes tied to the post. As we made our way up West Rim Prescott Ore Trail, we passed Parker and a couple of his friends coming down it. I nodded to him, but Carl said nothing, just stared up the trail, reaching for the only place he knew to go. It was almost dark by the time we got to the Amber Cot, and there was little light left to search for whatever Kyle hoped to find. It took half an hour in the darkness before I finally convinced Kyle that there was nothing there to help Kimber. And though we didn't speak of it, I knew he and I were both painfully aware of all the sounds of the night. We were scared, terrified to our very bones that we would hear piercing scraping, grinding metal sounds of a monster at Borrasca that we'd become so accustomed to over the years. We both dreaded it, prayed it would not come, and we did not speak of it. I dropped Carl at home and promised we would find Kimber tomorrow. I swore we would. He gave me nothing more than a shallow nod and disappeared inside his house. My dad was waiting for me in the kitchen when I got home a few minutes later. I didn't look at him and walked over to the fridge, realizing I hadn't eaten all day.
Sammy, sit down. I want to apologize for today.
I took out some chicken, cheese, and went to the pantry for some bread.
I know you're scared, and I know a lot has been going on that you can't exactly relate to.
He sighed.
Anne had been depressed for a good long while, for 20 years. That'll weigh on a person.
I ignored him and continued making my sandwich. I was dying inside, wondering if I could even trust the man I'd called my dad my entire life.
She was suffering, Sam, and sometimes people who suffer that deeply don't know of any other way out. She knew her depression was hurting her husband and her daughter, and maybe she mistakenly thought she was doing them a favor. Mom's depressed,
I said without taking my eyes from the task. He sighed.
Your mother is coping okay with this, and this is very different. Sam, Kimber's mom had been depressed since she was in her 20s. Early in the marriage, Anne suffered multiple miscarriages. Infertility can be very hard on some couples, and not even Kimber's birth could totally ease the pain. Dad, with all due respect, I'm tired, and I'm going to bed. Colin and I are getting up early to look for Kimber.
I threw the knife in the sink with a loud clang and turned to look at my dad for the first time.
Please just tell me you're still trying to find Kimber.
The sheriff stood up from the kitchen table, looking as tired and disheveled as I felt.
I promise, Sammy.
And I finally believed him. The next morning, when I pulled up to Kyle's house, Parker came out to meet me.
Hey, Parker.
I said when I rolled down the window and the cool morning air wafted in.
Kyle's not here. He left around 5. Stole my dad's truck. He's pissed, so you better go.
Nice.
He might not be 5 anymore. I think he might be,
Or 6, because that makes all the
No,
difference.
because the time jump, the time skip.
Oh, thanks, man.
I said, and then rolled out the window and took off down the street. I drove around all morning looking for Kyle, calling his cell, but he didn't pick up until around noon.
Sorry, man, I couldn't sleep.
Kyle sounded a bit more stable than yesterday.
That's cool. Where you at? I don't know exactly. A rare spot. I'm getting service. Are you in the woods? Yeah, she's out here, Sam. Somewhere in these mountains. I can feel it. I know it. All right, well, let me meet you. Okay, just come down the West Rim Trail. I'll meet you there.
I was only 5 minutes away. I arrived before Kyle had time to get down the mountain. Mr. Landy's red Dodge Ram was parked haphazardly in a no parking zone, and I figured it would probably be towed by the time we got back. I doubted Kyle cared at this point, though. I crossed my arms, leaning against my car as I waited for him, staring up at the dirty red trail in impatience. When Kyle finally showed half an hour later, he was covered in sweat and dirt and dejection.
So?
I said, pushing up off the car.
No, nothing, man. All right, well, let's keep searching.
We hiked miles and miles of the mountain that day, but we didn't find any sign of human life. And for the next few days, if the sun was out, so were we. Kyle was growing more and more desperate, crossing onto private property to look for logging equipment, mapping out the county's many mines to search for abandoned buildings. But the mountain was big, and the needle buried deep in the haystack. As the days slipped away, So did Kyle's sanity. Every time I saw my dad, he would give me a sober look and promise they were still looking. It seemed to me that even he was growing concerned. The Destaro house remained as cold and empty as the space between the stars above it. On the 11th night of our Kimberless existence, I was awoken out of a troubled sleep by a piercing, whirling, screeching sound of death at Borrasca. I cried myself back to sleep to the tortured sounds of Kyle's own agony next to the door. We had failed her. Kimber was dead.
What do you think?
I don't know what's the thing.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten any more information.
You've got a lot. I just don't think you realise it. I think it's definitely something I would recommend reading twice. But, right, so let's summarise. So, funeral.
Kimber gone.
Kimber's gone back, left the funeral.
Sound of Borrasca.
Wait, Kimber's left the funeral, and then the sheriff comes to the funeral. The old sheriff comes to the funeral with 2 police officers, scolds Kimber's dad. And then they leave, and then someone that turns up at the house.
Just to interject, I think that Grigg guy. I think they took Kimber, took her somewhere, been like, look, she knows too much. Come to get Destaro, the dad, and say, look, you're gonna have to figure this out. She's either in it or she's not now. You got to come with us.
Yeah. I think.
And then they took her. She was probably in that car.
One thing I find weird though, and I can't remember if it answers this, is Kimber's dad left too. So did Kimber and his wife, obviously gone, Kimber's mum's dead, but a part of me is like, did they pay off the dad and be like, listen, because you've lost everyone, we're sort you out?
No, I think Kimber knows too much, and they've got to sort her out. And then if Kimber, she keeps her mouth shut, her and her dad can go on.
Do you reckon they're holding them both?
Absolutely.
So you don't think Kimber's dead? You don't think Borrasca...
I don't think Kimber's dead, because you would have had Borrasca on the first night.
Maybe she never agreed. Maybe they were trying for 11 nights.
I don't know. I just don't see. And also, I'm a big believer in you don't kill off a main character. People don't have the balls to do it.
They do.
Unless it's Game of Thrones. They just don't. She's a part of the big 3.
She's a part
Kyle,
of the big...
Sam, and Kimber. I just don't see her dying.
By the way, from what you told me, you're not close to the end. You don't know. You were close at episode 1. You were weirdly really close during one topic. But
well, we'll go on to part... How many parts is it? Part 4?
Just last part now. This is what I say is the last part 4.
Well, I don't know if I'll have enough time to read.
Hold on. Right, long episodes. We're doing part 4.
Let's go. Borrasca. When I pulled up to his house the next morning, I could tell Kyle had cracked. His skin had taken on a yellowed colour and his voice was flat and void of emotion.
It's not over yet, Kyle,
I said as he dropped into the seat next to me.
Yes it is, Sam.
He all but whispered.
No, I don't believe that. Kimber's dad, he's missing too, you know? Maybe it was him instead?
I couldn't bring myself to say it.
You're living in hell, Driskin. It's hell in our own reality.
I couldn't disagree. The town I'd grown to love seemed so foreign to me now. Whitney hadn't been an outlier like I'd thought. Missing people were the norm here.
And that would make Jimmy Prescott the king. He's Satan himself.
As soon as those words were out of my mouth, Kyle punched the car door, awaking from his dead state with rageful vigor.
I'll fucking kill Jimmy Prescott. Where is that motherfucker? You know he's involved in this, Sam. You know. Maybe partially,
I said, staring out the window.
His dad created the town that bred this shit. But I'm pretty sure the Prescotts are just running drugs. You know, the powder? Yeah, and so what? He's recruiting people to be a drug mule or something? Maybe.
I agreed for Carl's sake, though I didn't really believe it. The sound, the great beast of Borrasca, gave off the distinct stench of death, and though I knew that physically was impossible, it didn't change my mind about it. The air smelled different after the metallic wailing ended. We drove over to the 4th Street Gourmet Coffee and Bakery, and went in to buy ourselves our usual provisions of rock stars and monsters. Typical teenagers.
Sounds like me.
As I paid for the 4-pack of cans. 4-pack? He's bougie.
It's only £4.50.
Yeah, but that's quite expensive.
Nah, not for 4. I get you 2 people. That's enough for the day. That sets you up for a nice day.
The day. 4 a day? You go for 4 a day?
No, there's 2 a day between 2 of them.
Okay.
It'd be 1 for the morning, 1 for when they lag.
When they lag. As I paid for the 4-pack of cans, I saw Mira waiting on coffee at the end of the bar. I could tell immediately that she was in a good mood, something that I haven't seen much of since I started working for her. It was probably a good time to tell her I was calling out of work for the 5th day in a row.
Hi, Mira.
I muttered when I approached.
I can't come in today. I've got some really important... Sam! Oh my gosh, how are you?
I stuttered.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought you were done. I stuttered.
Good.
She said brightly.
Don't worry about coming in. I'll hold down the fort. I'm sure I can call Emmeline. She was never really much of a character, was she, Emmeline? I feel like they were building her up. There's like Sam's crush, and they just never went with it.
I feel like if they do a wrap-up, she'll suddenly end up being Sam's wife, conveniently.
I mean, Emmeline is in to help if I need. But really, Sam, what have you been up to lately? What's so important?
My mind blinked. Just as I started to stutter out some bullshit about helping my dad, Kyle appeared behind me.
We're trying to find Borrasca,
he said with all the gravitas of an eulogy.
Ah, yes, Owen told me you asked him about that. You know, it's just a scary story, Sam. The legend has been around since I was a kid. Yeah, well, we're looking for our missing friend, Kimber. Well, we think she's there.
I trailed off lamely.
Oh, really? I thought I heard the Destarios were staying at her relatives in Marine over the summer. Maine, over the summer. Oh well, anyway, good luck, boys.
Thanks.
Carl's voice was sour, and I knew his patience was thin. When we got back into the car, we popped open a can of Rockstar and started chugging. I knew better than to ask Carl if he wanted to smoke, since I'm sure he hadn't lit a bowl since Kimber had disappeared. He finished the energy drink in under a minute and crumpled the can in his hand.
I don't like your boss,
he said.
Marie, why not?
I don't know. She's just off.
Well, I mean, she's been going through some things.
I wasn't going to elaborate any further.
Why are you asking your husband about Borrasca anyway?
I don't know. I was just making small talk. I thought he might know. He seemed to know a lot about other things.
And did he know?
No.
I took a long gulp of the sour drink and then choked on it when I remembered something Owen had said.
Well, actually, he said a Borrasca instead of Borrasca. Like a thing instead of a place.
Kyle lowered his Rockstar.
And is it? Is it what?
Is it a thing?
I don't know. I've never heard. I googled everything weird. About this town, but nothing came up.
Did you spell it right?
I don't know.
I shrugged.
Do you know how to spell it?
No.
I pulled out my phone.
No, fuck Google.
Kyle said.
We need to talk to Catherine Scalone. That's what Kimber would say.
He was right. Catherine Scalone may be the most knowledgeable person in town, and was probably the right person to ask. I pulled out a 4th Street coffee and prayed she was at the office already. When we parked in front of Drisking Arts and Antiques, I was disappointed to see the store was dark. Kyle pointed to a cheap and small open sign hanging in the corner of the door, and I crossed my fingers, and it was Catherine's office. I was relieved to find the door unlocked, and we hurried past all the antiques and blown glass to the back of the store, where we found the door open, and Catherine sitting at her desk.
Boys!
She stood up when she saw us.
You're up quite early for summer break. How did the essay go?
Sorry.
Great.
I said.
Actually, we're here for more help.
Personal interest.
Kyle added.
Kyle is kind of starting to turn into a bit of a badass, I feel like. I don't know if that's just because I shifted my voice, but he's like a man on a mission now.
He is. He's trying to get back his girl. He's this angsty teenager.
I knew Kimber was acting weird after she was bitching at the funeral.
I still can't get over that.
Catherine raised her eyebrows.
Color me impressed.
I needed to get right down to it. If by some small chance Kimber was still alive, then every second counted.
We're here because we want to know if Borrasca is a thing or a place.
Catherine raised her eyebrow.
I remember that legend as a kid. I'd actually have to tell you, I didn't know if it wasn't for Wyatt. He knew so little about so much.
She laughed.
A sort of jack of all trades. Anyway, he told me an interesting fact once about Borrasca. It's both. What do you mean?
I leaned over her desk.
Well, the term Borrasca is just old, outdated lexicon. The word was used by miners to describe an underperforming mine. A mine?
I whispered. Carl shook his head.
We've been looking at mines. So, all the mines in Butler County are Borrasca?
I asked.
Well, generally, it's only the first mine in the system to run dry. That's called a Borrasca. Do you know which mine ran dry first in our mining system?
Kyle asked from where he stood near the door, repeatedly clenching and unclenching his fists.
Not off the top of my head, no.
She laughed.
I can look, though. I think I have those records here somewhere.
Catherine walked behind her desk and opened a drawer of loose files.
This is an odd thing to be interested in, boys, especially at your age, but I guess I should be glad you two are so eager to learn, especially over the summer.
Yes, ma'am. Very eager,
said Kyle.
Is the Borrasca the first mine that ran out of ore? Was that by the chance the same one those kids disappeared? The McCaskies? I don't think so. That particular mine was Southwest Mine, and it was very close to the town. I think it was the last one to close, actually. Here we go. This package should have all the information.
Catherine spent far too long moving books around the desk to make room for the stack of papers she had. Carl and I paced around the rooms, nervously trying to appear casually interested, while the energy drinks started coursing through our systems.
Here we go. The first mine to close was in the north. The North Central mine, which was, actually, it was the first to open. But where is it?
Kyle walked over to the desk and braced his arms on it.
Where is that mine?
Catherine pulled over a different stack of papers and started to fumble through it. After the longest minute of my life, she made a aha sound and pulled a large yellowed piece of paper that had been folded into standard A4 size. She unfolded it on the desk and leaned over to read the markings. I could see from where I was standing near the doorway that it was a map, and I knew we weren't leaving this office without it.
Let's see. The mine was further up the mountain, a little harder to get to. See?
She pointed at a small dot on the map that was at least 4 miles from where we'd been looking.
Can we take this?
Carl asked.
We'll bring it back. Of course. I'm sure I have copies. Listen, if you boys are going exploring, I'm bringing my dad.
I lied.
Excellent. Then you guys have fun.
She yelled at us as we rushed out the building. We didn't stop to answer her. Fun was far from our minds.
It's so far from where we've been looking.
Kyle stuttered.
We need to go there now, and we need to get a gun. A gun? Where are we going to get that? From your dad. He's not going to give us a gun, man. Fine. Then let's scout the place first, and then we'll come back with a gun.
That didn't seem like a good idea to me either. But what choice did we have? After studying the map for several minutes, we realized the easiest way to access the mine was through the West Rim Prescott Ore Trail. We parked at the trailhead and made the familiar hike down the marked trail, and then up the beaten path, realizing we'd been to the travel post Amber Court Fort on the way, and I knew in my heart that we were going the right way. We were walking the same path that so many people before us on their way to Borrasca, but what had they found there? We passed a treehouse which was silent as the morning, and walked on into the woods, further north than we would ever been before, and soon we were flying blind, hiking in the general direction of the dot on the map, and hoping we were still on course. Within an hour, I began regretting that we'd come without provisions, emotional and unprepared. By noon, as we were hiking for 4 hours, it seemed to me we were lost. I tempered the wailing panic and the thoughts of Kimber and Whitney, and the answers to the mystery that had absorbed my life for so many years. Kyle, for his part, said nothing, and kept his eyes straight, and his mission his priority. And then, just as the sun tethered on the apex of the day, we saw an emptiness through the trees, and the hard lines of man-made buildings. Kyle quickened his step, and I rushed to keep up. We finally broke through the tree line. I choked on my own deep breath, and fell back against the tree as I was looking over the quiet encampment. A large wooden sign post that had almost as long as the entire clearing was still standing near the entrance of the mine. It had to be a century old, and though most of the letters had rotted over the years, from those that remain I could guess it had once said, Drisking Underground Mine. What was left, however, was Skin ND Men.
Skinned men?
That's cool.
What do you think?
That's cool, yeah. So clearly it's like a legend that's been passed down.
And it's
Driskin, skinned men.
Skinned men's a location.
Yeah. That's actually good. It's not as big of a twist as what I thought, so it's definitely not supernatural.
So, are you sure? Because you still don't know what a shiny gentleman is.
Well, could that just be a machine that's been rubbed off the sign?
What, conveniently?
A couple letters.
One's called skinned men and one's called shiny gentleman.
Yeah, it could be, I don't know, something electrical.
So I'm guessing it was still slightly in the back of your mind that it could have been supernatural.
Yeah, absolutely, with the whole treehouse.
Yeah.
But I guess that was just world building.
Yeah, I think it's the whole point of the story. It wants to make you go back and forth
Makes
and
you
think.
guess.
Yeah, it makes you think.
Makes you think. I like stories that make you think.
It could still be supernatural.
I doubt it. Kyle pointed to the north end of the camp. We stepped out from the shadows into the vulnerability of the clearing. There were several large buildings still standing, and boarded up entrance to the ore mine was set back in the mountain.
We're not getting in there.
I whispered.
Let's try that building,
he said, and pointed toward the one nearby, which was the largest and at least 2 stories tall. We counted to 3 and then ran across the camp to the large wooden doors of the old building. They were cracked open, and we squeezed inside. I had doubts that death was indeed present in Borrasca. We were standing in what I guess was a refinery. In the middle of the room, there was a large, silver, conically shaped machine. A conveyor belt fed into it, and the room had a sour smell. Even the dirt beneath our feet seemed to have a crimson tint. This is a machine, I said. I was
You
right.
don't know yet. You don't know.
So that's a skinned man.
No, the place is the skinned man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, carry on. I'm getting a bit too into this.
This is the machine? This is where they take them?
I said.
This is the place where people die?
Kimber's in here. Come on.
I was only too happy to squeeze back out the door of the building and tiptoe around the side. We rounded a corner and almost ran into a recently waxed, shiny green truck parked there.
That's Jimmy Prescott's truck.
I breathed.
I know whose truck that is.
Kyle growled. We were now on an extraordinary high alert. Kyle dropped to the ground and began to commando crawl around the building. I followed him, waiting to hear a shout or a gunshot, but none came. As we crawled around to the back of the building, Kyle turned around to me and put his finger over his lips and then pointed to a one-story brown building that was only a dozen feet away from us. We got into a crouched position and moved as fast as we could across the gap between the two buildings. I did the same. As soon as I reached the wall next to him, Kyle whirled around and put a finger on his lips and then pointed up to a window directly above us. There were noises coming from inside, and even to me, a 16-year-old virgin, the sounds were of sax, were unmistakable. We could hear an animalistic grunting and the tired, objecting groans of an old mattress. Unable to help myself, I whispered,
"What the fuck?"
to Kyle, but he was already gone. All caution abandoned. Running around the side of the building, I followed him through the first door we came upon and hit in the face by an invisible wall of filth and suffering. The smell knocked me back, but Kyle kept running. I followed him in, past crates of ramen noodles, MREs, bottled water, and boxes I had no time to read. I crossed another threshold, and I was suddenly surrounded by people. So many people. I skidded to a halt, and realized I was standing in a sort of dorm. Rows and rows of beds on either side of me, with people strapped to them, some of them wearing dirty rags, and some wearing nothing at all. Many seemed to be bloated, and I waited for one to call out to me, but they all remained silent, some watching me through tired, dead eyes, and others turning away. Looking around, I realized they were all women, and the bloating I seemed to see pregnancies. Some were confined to their beds, and others were not. I don't like this. I really don't like this. This is really bad. I don't like this at all.
This is the point.
I know, there's a point and then there's this. I don't like this. It's not my favourite story. 0 out of 10. I looked around the room for Kyle and saw him standing a little further in the room, looking back at me, and the same confused, wild expression I saw was on my face. I saw the realisation cross him and called out to him, but he was already running again. I lost him before I'd taken 5 steps to follow. I figured it was probably best just to keep running, spread out and look for Kimber. I didn't see her in this room, and I was sure she would have called out to us if she was. I looked around for another door, and saw one cracked open on the left behind a row of beds. I stared straight to it as I made my way there, desperate to avoid the wretched void eyes of the woman around me. First we help Kimber, then we help the others. I will come back and help you all, I promise, as soon as I find Kimber. Without a thought, I pushed the door wide open, and as soon as I reached it, I found the source of the noises we heard outside. It was Jimmy, something I'd been expecting to see, but the scene before me was not. He was hunched over the bed, almost unrecognizable, unresponsive Christy, treating her like an animal. She watched me through the slits of her dead eyes, but she didn't call me for help. I thought I saw a tear run down her cheek, before she turned her face away from me to the wall of the other side.
"What the fuck?"
I didn't even realize those words were audible. I had never seen this depth of human suffering. Jimmy's head snapped around to look at me, and briefly registered surprise, before he smiled at me in a way that turned my insides to ice. He didn't stop what he was doing. I wanted nothing more than to run over and push him off Christy, but to my utter shame, I couldn't force myself to come any further into the room.
Right, you right? You need a breather?
I think this is a horrible story.
That's the point.
It's not the point. I just don't like topics with pregnancies or babies or children.
That's the point. A lot of these stories involve this.
Those be...
All right, no.
Those things are sacred, and those things should not
for the
be
future.
abused.
Should we continue?
Yes, we should. We've got this far.
And
I need an ending.
If you feel like you're struggling to read it, I can take over.
It's really, truly awful.
If you feel like you want me to take over, I will.
Sam!
Kyle's voice echoed through the building and immediately cured me of my paralysis. I found myself running back into the miner's dorm, away from Jimmy Prescott and Christy.
Kyle! Back here, hurry, please! I found Kimber!
I followed his voice through the maze of beds and rooms as a cacophony of voices began to follow me.
Help us, please.
There was maybe only a handful of girls yelling at me, and it sounded thunderously loud as it filtered through the guilt. The weight of their misery dropped down upon me, and it almost pushed me into the ground.
I will. I'll get help. I'll help you. I promise.
I promised them as I followed Carl's voice, still screaming desperately from an adjacent room. I sprinted across another threshold and saw him, hunched over down near a corner bed, helplessly yanking on a leather strap attached to it. I slammed into the bed and fell to my knees, trying to work out what he was doing and how I could help him. I tried not to look at the bed because I knew I couldn't see her like that. I couldn't bear it. If Kimber looked at me through the same accusing empty eyes as Christy and the others had, I might lay down on the ground beneath her and curl up into a ball.
Go around the other side. Unbuckle the other 2 straps.
Kyle had the same high-pitched voice and wild, desperate eyes of madness. I ran around the other side and did as he said with shaking and awkward hands.
Oh, boys.
Jimmy's voice rang out from somewhere in the building. I had just freed Kimber's ankle and was working on her wrist. She whimpered when she heard him and buried her face into my shoulder.
Do you think you're hiding? I know where to find you. I know right where I put that girl. I'll fucking kill you, Prescott, you sick cunt. I'll fucking stomp all your bones and bleed you out, you little motherfucker.
Kyle had lost all reason and strategy. He was filled with rage now instead of fear, and it scared me even more. I pulled Kimber's wrist from the final strap and yelled.
Go now!
I pulled Kimber up off the bed and quickly realised that her legs could barely support her. She was heavily sedated and breathing weakly. We braced her on either side and moved as quickly as we could through the nearest doorway, away from Jimmy. We were in another dorm, though this one was filled with mostly empty beds. I could see sunlight shining through the door at the end of the long room, and we raced towards it as Kimber made little cries of pain. I didn't think my heart could break any more, but I was wrong, because in the next moment, it did. I almost dropped Kimber when I saw her staring at me. Her eyes were hollow and uninvested, and when I turned toward her, she looked away immediately. She couldn't stand the sight of me.
Whitney?
I said weakly. So Whitney didn't die then?
No.
She's just been kept captive. I don't know which is worse, honestly.
Probably this option.
At least with death.
Yeah, it's
quick.
instant. So, is the big secret of the town revealed.
What, so they're like breeding babies or something?
So I think the impression is they've mentioned a lot of infertility issues in the town. So instead of, it sounds to me like they're selling children back to the town.
Oh.
And do you think that's why Kimber's mum killed herself? Because she knew they were going to take Kimber? Is it all a planned thing?
But surely if Kimber's mum killed herself, if it was me and it was my daughter, I would run for the hills. I would take the girl and we would not ever go back.
Maybe Kimber
There's
didn't
no
know.
law saying they can't leave the town.
But is Kimber Kimber's mum's daughter? Or was she sold to Kimber's mum?
Yeah.
The only one so far you know that's legit family is Sam's, because he moved into the town.
So maybe they're all Prescotts, and that's why they have infertility issues.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely taken a very
I know you're struggling with it. You're struggling with it. As a mum, it is probably hard to look at, but we're pushing the boundaries.
I just think children, pregnancy, women going through pregnancy, they're sacred. You shouldn't write about stuff about them. You shouldn't be mean to them. You should just love them, support them, and it's a really special, sacred time. Babies, children, pregnancy, they should be kept sacred.
Yeah.
And it does hit me in my gut, especially when I read. It's like I've even on my phone, I've blocked The Sun on my phone on Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah, I've blocked The Sun, I've blocked ITV, I've blocked BBC News, because for some reason, all the time it's like stories of abuse, and I can't physically take it.
I knew this one. I didn't think it'd be this challenging for you, but I wanted one that I knew would make you feel uncomfortable.
It's moving.
And annoyingly, I've picked a 5-hour read, but It's, yeah.
I think I would have preferred a supernatural. At least then it wasn't real. But I know this isn't real, but it's real because the characters are real in my head, you know?
Yeah. That's what they said at the beginning about C.K. Walker, like really good at world building and character development and stuff.
Yeah.
And you probably agree she don't hit it with the endings. Remember, this isn't the end. There's part 5 to this. But
We'll have to do that another time.
You would be fine on part 5. You would be absolutely fine.
As long as I think we have to do part 5 another time.
I'll explain roughly what part 5 is at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're without spoiling it. So let's carry on. Whitney?
I said weakly.
Sam, let's fucking go.
Kyle screamed.
You can't.
I turned toward him as tears ran down my hot cheeks, and Kyle saw her too.
I can't stay.
Kyle said, still moving toward the door.
I have to get Kimber away from here, please.
But he knew I wasn't going anywhere now.
Good luck, bro.
What the hell? See you later, I said, and we were both running in different directions. Whitney's hair was long, but was thin, as was her face. Everything on her looked brittle, except for her stomach, which was bubbled out like an overblown balloon. She refused to look at me, and flinched at my touch as I tried desperately to unbuckle her from the bed. I hadn't even finished the first belt when I heard Jimmy walk up behind me. I didn't bother to look at him, or stop trying to free my sister. I didn't know what else to do.
I admire your grit, kid,
Jimmy said, and then sat down on the bed behind me and continued to watch me, giving no objection to what I was doing.
You probably think your friends got away, but there's no sense in false hope, is there?
There's no sense of any of this.
My voice sounded frail, and it cracked over the last word.
You're not wrong about that.
Jimmy sighed.
But just so you know, I got Clary out there looking for them already. People making a lot of noise coming down off this mountain. Trust me on that.
Sheriff Clary?
I was desperate to keep him talking. Anything to try keep him to stop me.
Oh, yeah, he was supposed to retire from the business, but unlike the previous sheriff, he kept a few horses in the race.
Horses? Sorry.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Horses?
Nothing made sense.
Yup.
Jimmy slapped the bed next to me.
We call these buildings the stables.
He laughed. I dropped the last buckle on the floor and looked down at Whitney. I expected her to spring up and run toward the door, while I went after Prescott, but all she did was rub her wrists and itch her collarbone. Then she put her arms back where they'd been, tucked her head away from me, and shut her eyes. I slumped down onto the bed next to her and picked up her cold hand. If she wasn't leaving here, neither was I. It was over. I sent a silent prayer up to God. I didn't know. And I wished my friends safety.
Do you want to know what this is, Sam?
I shrugged. It didn't seem to matter now.
It's all about the babies.
I stared down at Whitney, and her swollen belly gave no indication I was listening.
You wouldn't believe how much money is in this industry. I mean, my dad was a smart man, and he knew he didn't have anything of value to sell back then, and the Prescotts were dirt poor. Out-of-work miners just like everywhere else in the town. He first got the idea when he sold my older brother off to pay for a legal fee to fight the city. I mean, some people would pay 5 figures for a newborn, even back then. And the organizations that buy them, well, they buy in bulk, but we still make a killing off of them, and our overhead is so low.
Jimmy stood up and pulled a gun out of his waistband and then threw it on the bed across the aisle.
Try to understand, Sammy. It's not about the money. We use the stables for community services, too. Lots of people in the town come from us, ever since the 50s.
I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to be here, listening to this. I didn't want to see Whitney so broken. I didn't want to wait for the inevitable death. It was torture in its purest form.
What are you waiting for? Why don't you just kill me? This isn't a James Bond movie. I don't care about any of this shit.
Jimmy laughed loudly, as if it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard.
Kill you? Christ, kid, if I could do that, then I already would. But I'm not allowed to kill you. I've been trying to decide if I should fuck your sister right in front of you, though. She's not one of mine, but it'd be worth it just to see your face. Just kill me and let her go. Fuck, or kill myself and you let her go.
I stood up from the bed, and Jimmy took 2 steps towards me and punched me hard in the face that I fell back down on it. I moaned as I fought the tears and stars behind my eyes.
I can't let her go, you little fuck. She's got one of our community service babies in her. Grace says she's got another week to go. 2 tops.
Jimmy looked down at Whitney and frowned.
She's been putting out shit babies, though. As soon as this one's out, she's got a date with a shiny gentleman.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I yelled at him, and a loud ring suddenly filled the room. Jimmy held up a finger and pulled out a phone out of his pocket.
I gotta take a business call. 2 minutes and we can get back to our conversation.
Jimmy walked over to the corner of the room, and I desperately started to pull Whitney.
We gotta go, Whit. We can't stay here.
She kept her eyes shut and her body lax.
Whitney, they're gonna kill you.
My head whipped towards the door as I heard a truck skid in the dirt just outside. Jimmy ended his phone call, and Killy and Clary walked in, pushing a limping, bloody Carl in front of him.
You lose something, Prescott? Where's the girl? I couldn't find her. God damn it, Clary. You fucked us. Go back out there and find that girl.
Jimmy snatched his gun off the bed and shoved it into the back of his waistband.
Now listen here, you little shit.
Clary growled.
I ain't your fucking employee, and I don't have all fucking day to play hide and seek in the woods. I'm telling you, she wasn't with him. I guess if you want to know where she is, you should get out of there. You should get out and go after him.
Clary threw Carl down on the floor and spit near his feet.
Not gonna do your fucking job?
Jimmy walked over and without hesitation kicked Kyle so hard in the ribs, I heard some of them snap inside his chest. I tried to stand up, but I was still dizzy and fighting off the darkness.
Where's your girlfriend, Landy?
Prescott raised his boot and stomped down on Kyle's ankle. He screamed in pain.
I can do this all day, kid.
Clary sat down on the bed across the aisle and lit a cigarette, watching impassively. Jimmy pulled Carl to his feet and then punched him hard in the face. A few of Kyle's teeth scattered across the floor.
Tell me, you little cunt.
Jimmy punched him again in the face, and Kyle went limp.
You're killing him!
I screamed and jumped off the bed, running blindly towards Jimmy in a rage. Clary stood up and caught me with no effort at all, holding my arms down at my sides. He laughed, cigarette still stuck out of the corner of his mouth as I struggled helplessly against his chest. Jimmy had straddled Kyle by now and was rapidly punching him in the face and chest. Kyle was barely conscious, and I prayed he'd pass out from the pain. After a full minute of this, Jimmy stood up, rubbed his bloody fists.
Last chance, Landy.
Fuck you,
Kyle said through wheezing, rattled breath of air. Jimmy spit on him and raised his foot as high as he could and brought it down on Carl's face with so much force that I heard his skull break. I sagged into Killy and Clary's arms and he dropped me into a puddle at his feet. Jimmy bummed a cigarette off Clary and they stood next to Whitney's bed, watching me cry.
Jesus, what a mess.
After a few minutes, Clary flicked his cigarette out and pulled out his phone.
All right, Sam, take your friend.
I couldn't have heard him right.
Fuck that. That little Andy shit ain't leaving here. You want to clean this mess up, Prescott?
I stood up, and my knees didn't buckle beneath me.
I'm not leaving without my sister,
I told them. Jimmy laughed.
Yes, you are.
Clary said.
If you want to save your friend's life. He ain't dead yet, Sam, but he soon will be.
He tossed his keys at me.
The road off this mountain is back by the refinery.
I let the keys bounce off me and fall to the floor. Clary swore at me. He knew he was right. I was a coward and would leave my sister and all the others here just so I could get away and save Carl's life. I picked up the keys and then, without looking at the two men, I picked up Carl by his shoulders and his head rolled back as if he was no longer attached to his spine. His face was a collage of pulp and blood, and I struggled to stay calm and breathe as I dragged him out of the building. Clary and Prescott watched me, taking drags of their cigarettes and saying nothing. I knew they were probably lying to me. Carl would be dead by the time I got down the mountain, if he wasn't already. I opened the door to Clary's old Ford and placed Carl in the front seat, wincing as his head rolled back around like a ball on a string. It took me almost an hour to get down the mountain. Even though I took the overgrown road at ridiculous speeds, I did everything I could to destroy the shocks on the truck. I sped into the hospital's emergency zone and found a medical team waiting inside the door. It was clear they'd gotten a call to expect me because they already had a crash cart with them and an IV ready to put into Carl's wrist. I left Clary's truck where it was and spent the next 2 hours in the waiting room, calling my dad over and over again and crying over the Architectural Digest magazine. No one came to take a statement from me or ask any questions. Carl's mum arrived just before my dad did, and he started screaming as soon as he saw me. My dad walked in behind her and had a deputy restrain her. He drove me home in silence, but I couldn't take it for long.
Is anyone gonna file a police report? Does anyone even fucking care about what happened?
Sam,
He didn't turn to look at me.
I am doing my best to do damage control on the situation, but if Kyle dies or his parents sue, there's nothing I can do to keep you out of court.
You think I did this?
I screamed at him.
We're not going to tell your mother, all right? She has had enough to worry about.
Dad, it's Kimber. It was the fucking Prescotts and Sheriff Clary.
Yes, you arrived at the hospital in Killian's truck. We already talked to them both.
I was so frustrated and full of rage. My next words came out jumbled, a stuttering mess that ended in a helpless scream. We pulled into a driveway and my dad turned off the car immediately and finally turned to look at me as I struggled to catch my breath.
Samuel, we never speak of this again. Do you understand?
Are you fucking kidding me, Dad? Kyle might fucking die. I saw Kimber.
Enough. If you want this to go away, you will keep your mouth shut about it. Make no statement to anyone, and I'll hire the best lawyer I can afford and clean up your mess. I don't know why you beat your fucking best friend to death, and frankly, I don't want to know.
Fuck you!
I screamed at him and threw open the door to the cruiser. I then ran away from him and the house and my broken life. He didn't come after me, not that day or any other. Since everyone in the town thought I was a violent thug, no one would let me stay with them. When I called around, I eventually went to a motel far outside of town and drained the last of my savings from work, paying for the room. I went back to pick up my car from the trailhead, but it was gone. I hoped it was Kimber who had it and not a tow yard. I read the paper every morning for the same mention of Carl's condition. I then saw the Daily's birth announcement about 10 days later. They had just had a son and they named him William. The whirling, twirling, shiny gentleman lit up the valley with its stench and the song of death that night. It was the last time I ever heard. I stayed in Drisking long after the money had run out, and I was sleeping on the concrete behind the motel. I stayed until Kyle was released from the hospital, a mute, empty-eyed, soulless vegetable. I went to see him once, while only Parker was home, and threatened him until he let me inside the house. When I was assured myself that the Kyle I knew was dead and only his empty husk remained, I left his house and hitchhiked out of town. And after I spent 4 drunken, drug-fueled years in Chicago, I came home one day to find a letter waiting for me. I didn't have a return address, but it was postmarked California. I knew it was from her before I'd even picked it up. She'd written so many of my assignments for me that I knew Kimber's handwriting better than my own. Inside, it was a letter. The letter. I read it only once, many years ago, until I sat down to describe it today. My Kimber, I know you aren't going to understand why we did the things we did. It was all born out of love, and at least it started that way. You're everything to me, and you'll always be my daughter, do you understand? I'm leaving this world because of what I've done to you, not because of what you are. I don't want you to be upset about it, because who you are is beautiful. My dearest, this town has done horrible things, and all of us who live here are guilty. Read this letter and leave this place. I need to tell you all of this. I need to start at the beginning. Somewhere along the way, decades ago, a major population of Driskin became unable to bear children. Most people blame the town for letting the iron ore leak into our water table during the collapsing of our mines. This is the same water table that still provides the town waters today. They were never quite able to fix it, and ore is toxic and exposure causes infertility. The town did and still does suffer greatly from its effects, and the Prescotts, they solved the problem that no one could solve. It was an ugly, crass solution, but most people were happy to look away when they were able to raise families again. You see, they took girls, mostly women from other places, and they impregnated them and gave us their babies, and the town came under the care of Thomas Prescott when he started to sell some of the babies on the side for profit to rich couples, and the sheriff, he helped him do this. But then, as ugly rumours started that they were selling to human traffickers, and the Prescotts had to triple the price for girls, and in town we began to murmur. But we once again turned the other cheek when the city was suddenly flooded with money because of how well the traffickers paid. People had well-paying jobs again and were proud to call Driskin a home. So we said nothing, and those that did were taken to the mountain, because that is where they do it. There is a place on the mountain where women are taken, Kimber, drifters, runaways, and if their parents chose it, sometimes the girls in town are even sold back. They arrange to sell the girls, and they meet them at the tree hallway between our town and the baby mill. Sometimes kids play there now, I think you played there. The Prescotts and the Sheriffs are the one who impregnate the girls, and the children are named after them. P for children, the Prescotts, and K, children for the Sheriff. And then when the women become too sick, too old to deliver profitable babies, they are sent through a giant machine that was used to refine ore, and their bodies are crushed and the blood and the skin stripped away, and what remains of them are their stolen children and the dust of their bones. And that's all that's left of their bodies, is the powder they spread over the mountain to hide our crimes. I'm telling you this, Kimber, because you are one of those children. Most of your friends are one of those children. Please get out of Drisking before your father finds this letter. Run away and never come back. Never speak of it to anyone. Their industry has deep roots and the traffickers have lofty connections. Don't tell anyone. Don't keep this letter. Don't look back. I love you. I'm sorry I have to leave you. We will all have to answer for our sins. And I'm ready to burn in hell for mine. Love always and forever, Mum.
The end.
Wow. That's really dark.
Yeah.
That's like the darkest thing I could ever think would happen.
It's an intense one.
Yeah, it's really dark.
It's intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was difficult for you.
It was difficult. So I got to where they found the woman and I was ready to clock out.
I mean, so the viewers know, we had to mute the mic a couple of times and I had to talk Tasha down because she gets really upset. And I don't know if I can say this. I think I mentioned it, but you are a mother.
Yeah.
So it is difficult.
It is.
I
don't
very
like
difficult.
any topics to do with children,
I knew this story would push you, but it is a good story. If it was human trafficking and it wasn't involving pregnant women, you would probably be so okay with it, wouldn't you?
I mean, and not children.
Yeah, but the children are safe. They take care of them afterwards.
Are they, Jake? When they sell them to the human traffickers and they end up on the island, are they safe?
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Prince Andrew's been
allegedly. But
the last letter, did you realise what that means?
Yeah, they're all Prescotts and the Sheriffs.
So Carl and Kimber are sisters, brother and sister.
No way.
Anyone with a K is from Clary.
Carl and Kimber.
So Phil Saunders.
Did they not?
Paige.
Oh my God. Did they not think this through, though? Did they not further down the line? I guess this is a recent thing then, because...
Well, from the 50s. So I think this is based roughly... I don't know if it tells you, but I get like 90s, early 2000s. That's kind of the vibe I get. Maybe 90s.
Because that's a whole... I think either way, when they do fertility tests on these children that leave the town, they're going to say, well, you're brother and sister. And that the cat's out of the bag.
That's why they don't leave. And the other thing he said as well is because these people are so powerful, they've got so many connections. So they're so wired in.
Let's not read the next one. But can you tell me about the next one?
I can tell you. Should I tell you now or should I tell you off screen?
No, tell me now because it's my reaction.
Right. Before we do, because people might click off because of spoilers, I told Tasha I've made a list.
Okay.
And it's only a rough list because I did it while at work and it's just the foreshadowing that's done.
Right.
So just a few things I noticed, which I don't know if you would have picked up. Oh, first one is Kimber says Prescott looks at her weirdly. When they were at the beach, she said, that Prescott makes me feel uncomfortable when he always looks at me weirdly. I wonder if he was sexualising her.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't like that. That's awful.
Mike Sona, do you remember Mike?
Yeah.
So he's obviously not from... He's a normal kid.
Yeah, normal kid. And not a baby milk kid.
His sister disappeared 5 years ago. So that was it. And then at the playground, there was another little girl who went missing.
Yeah.
Little girl. They were like...
Thing is, though... Oh, I was going to say little girl. Why take them so young?
So this one's a spoiler for the number 2, so I'll tell you in a bit. But yeah, Paige, she was another girl that disappeared. But Prescott.
Yeah.
But you'll probably be like, throughout the day, you'll think of stuff. They'll think, oh, God, that's why that happened. It's really, they foreshadowed it loads during the whole story.
Yeah.
Right, so rough 1 of 5. I'll give you a rough one, and then I'll start from the beginning, and you tell me to stop, and then if you feel like reading it. So the part 5 wraps everything up in a good way. Basically...
How long is it to read?
About an hour. You would like part 5. It doesn't involve anything. Basically... Borrasca gets fucked up.
Oh, let's do it.
It is good.
Because I need a bit of...
I think you'll like it. I think it would tie everything in together.
I need something to make me feel good. The
whole of Borrasca has changed. There's a new guy in control. Everyone's getting fucked up. And 2 people reunite after years.
Okay, let's read it then.
I think you'll like it.
Okay.
All right, so what we might do is do a couple episode break and then go back. I think actually as well, to sit on this story. Next time we come back, we'll talk about all 4 parts.
Yes,
I think
I'd like
it's very
a
fresh.
summary.
I think you're still a bit whooshed.
I'm out of it.
It's weird because
just...
you seem satisfied when you finished it. Well, I really didn't think you were going to get through that. You were really struggling.
I was ready to clock out mentally and never touch a story again. The only reason I did was because we're an hour through and I'm not a quitter.
But we were an hour and a half through when we got to that.
I'm not a quitter, so we had to do it. Please never choose stories of babies or children. I don't mind children, actually, but not anything really sinister.
I knew this one would push you.
Pregnant women are a no-go.
But you were really close in part 1 when you guessed the story. You randomly, when they were in the playground scene, you just turned around and you said something like, "Oh, I bet they're stealing kids to traffic them." Oh, you got there was a couple times you were really close. You were closer than I was at picking it.
I do think that letter though is really good.
It's like what do you call it? Like a monologue dump.
Yeah.
But it's good because like stuff like the letters and the names, I couldn't remember if that was part 5 or part 4, so I didn't know whether or not to tell you. Like the Prescott and the Kimber and stuff like that. But it's good because it ties it all up and it says how the mountain does it. Oh, another thing, I think that letter implies that the Triple Tree is where they make the transactions.
Right.
Because you used to play there as a kid.
Yeah.
And the triple the price. They had the triple the price for traffickers.
Oh, wow.
So...
it all ties
and then
in.
Prescott's dad was saying, we had to triple it. And I don't know if the powder, when he talks about the powder,
it could
he
be
means
the drugs.
I think
it's the sedation.
I thought it was either the ore going into the ore powder going into the river, making everyone infertile, because we had the powder, or it's the powder from the Shiny Gentleman grinding them up.
Oh yeah.
And then he was like, Prescott pulled me away. They were mine. And he's talking about the girls. They were his horses, as they refer to them.
Oh, that's awful. I don't like that.
But one thing I will say is I think Prescott is such like a menacing figure, the son.
Yeah, Jimmy Prescott.
Like, even the voice I was doing for him, he just seemed like and when he was just there laughing.
And he was just so nonchalant.
Yeah, he found it funny.
It does make me feel sad that Kyle is now a vegetable. Because he was like ready to give up everything.
One thing that's weird. Yeah, that's...
And he did
Kyle
give up everything.
Kyle is in the second one. Okay. Then the second one, the 5th one. It was weird to me, and I don't really know why, but Prescott wasn't allowed to kill Kyle or Sam. He specifically
Sam's a sheriff's boy.
Yeah, but do you know if the sheriff's involved?
Well, I thought it hands down to the sheriff.
See, I'm going to say this because I don't think it's mentioned. I think as a reader's point of view, you don't know whether or not Sam's dad's in charge. But did Sam's dad give Whitney as a sacrifice so he could get the promotion? Did he give them Whitney? Because if you were a dad, well, I'm a dad, so I can say this. If you had the slight hint that she was up in that mountain from Sam's story, you would go up there.
I wonder if it was something like, you can have Whitney for 5 years, give her 5 babies, and then I'll buy her back.
But hear this. Oh, another thing, that Grace is involved. Prescott's Mrs. She all does all the things. Well,
clearly she's got Whitney's baby.
Did you clock where Sam was at the motel at the end there? And as soon as that baby was born...
Yeah, it's Whitney's baby.
Yeah, and then you heard the Shiny Gentleman that night.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
They killed her, yeah.
Did they kill Whitney?
Yeah, he said, I heard the Shiny Gentleman echo when I was sleeping on the street. And they said they were going to kill Whitney after this last baby.
Awful.
These aren't real, that's what you got to think. But
I know, it's actually affecting me.
You wanted a story that made your skin crawl.
Right, I wanted a story like, there's a haunting, and I can switch off and be like, haha, yeah, ghosts, funny, oh, ghosts. Oh my god, we're trafficking babies, killing humans. Yeah, that woman, yeah, I fucked her. Like, what? No.
Yeah, it got really crude at the end. Like, when I was reading the movie.
Like, she's mine. Fuck, no.
The C word dropping and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit much, but...
yeah, I don't mind a good, creepy pasta. There's blood on the walls. I'm walking through this haunted house. Like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I can detach myself.
Yeah.
I've had a baby. I know what it takes to have a baby. And it sucks. Okay? It literally sucks the life out of you. It's not something you take lightly.
This isn't helping, but the fact that we're feeding them ramen and MREs.
What's MREs?
The military pouches.
Oh, yeah. That's awful.
Are they MREs? MERs?
MRIs.
No, MRIs are scam.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
MRE packs. We've had them before.
Yeah, they're like dry food.
Yeah, it's for like militaries, quick and
Imagine
easy.
if you had sickness during your pregnancy, like I did.
I don't think they care. I think you're just chained to the bed and you just...
I don't like... All right, we're going to stop. Because as a mum who's been through a rough pregnancy and a rough delivery, I could not imagine
you
going
would
through that.
fucking love 5. It can be a bit of a slog, but 5 for you.
I need
know
retribution.
There's a really good retribution. I think it's cheesy.
Oh, I love a bit of
But
cheese.
yeah, that's why I think you would
love
love
a
it.
bit of cheese.
Yeah, basically everyone gets their comeuppance.
Nice.
So that's
I hope someone's dick gets chopped off, because there's no way you deserve anything less than that.
I actually remember number 5. There's a really corny bit where like it's that cliche story where they meet a hacker and he hacks everything, and it's like a Hollywood
Hollywood
I'm
slasher.
in the mainframe, but we might do a little break for a couple of weeks, and then we'll go back to 5. We'll see how we feel.
We could do Crack Out Wednesday. Now I know it's a good one.
We could do Wednesday. Yeah, we'll see how we feel. Anyway, we'll wrap up now.
Yes.
All right. Everyone, thank you for watching. If you got this far, let us know what you think of this episode.
Absolutely.
If you could give us a rating, that would be ideal. It really helps us out.
Yeah, we're on Spotify, Amazon,
YouTube. So if you could follow us on all platforms, that would be really helpful. All right. Thank you.
See you later.